Hi. Let me pull this down just a little bit. Okay, hey y'all. Today's lesson is inequalities with variables on both sides. And I'm using, I'm realizing like you can see this probably. I don't know how to make this little box go away. Okay, there. Okay, I guess I can't move that. Now, I'm using the notes in your textbook. So go to this section, page 441 in volume 2. I think it's chapter 6, lesson 5. And I'm going to go through these as your notes. One thing I want to bring your attention to are these TEKs out here. So in the Logos Math Department, we follow the TEKs. And my job is at the end of the year is to teach you all of the 8th grade TEKs. And this one, 8.8a, write one variable equations or inequalities. And so today we're focusing on inequalities with variables on both sides that represent problems using rational number coefficients and constants. So basically the focus is on writing equations. Oops, let me fix the focus real quick. Focus. I'm taking it off. Okay, there, we should be good now. Okay, so with all that being said, I'm just going to go through these pages and walk you through, and then we'll do our classwork. So, launch the lesson, real world. Nico is ordering an ice cream sundae. Investigate the cost of Nico's ice cream sundae if he orders T toppings and has D dollars to spend. And you see 2 scoops plus 1 topping is $3, and each additional topping is $1.25. Complete the sentence to compare the total cost of the ice cream sundae Nico wants to order and the amount of money Nico has to spend. So set up here T toppings and D dollars. And we have these little boxes. Now, of course, this is to help guide us through. The cost of a sundae with 2 scoops of ice cream and 1 topping. Well, we know from the chart that that is $3. Just came from the chart. The cost of T toppings. Well, every topping is $1. Whoops, can't do that. Every topping is $1.25, but we don't know T toppings, so that's going to be $1.25 times T, depending on how many toppings we get. And we use the inequality less than or equal to. The reason we choose less than or equal to is because if he has D dollars to spend, that means Nico needs to spend less than D dollars or equal to D dollars. He can't spend more money than he has. So that's why we're choosing the inequality less than or equal to. D is the most, at most he can spend D dollars. So I have written an inequality. If Nico wants to order a sundae with 2 additional toppings, what will the cost of that sundae be? So if he wanted to put 2 additional toppings, you would substitute a 2 in right here for T, and it would be 3 plus 125 times 2, and that would be $5.50. If Nico has $5 to spend on a sundae, does he have enough money to buy the sundae with the 2 toppings? And the answer is no. Explain your reasoning. Well, the reasoning is he only has $5 and he needs at least $5.50. So he doesn't have enough money because $5.50 is greater than 5. That's why. Okay, so now let's go to page 2, and yours looks like this. Write inequalities to represent real-world problems. So that's the focus of this TEK. I'm going to teach you how to solve them also, but we're going to focus on writing them. Recall that an inequality is going to be not just a straight equal to. Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. An equation means equal to. An inequality is one of these 4. And you can write an inequality with variables on each side to represent real-world problems, and that's the point of this TEK today. So let's look at this one. Example 1. Charter A bus charges $50 plus 40 cents a mile for renting a charter bus. Buses for You charges $35 plus 55 cents a mile. For what number of miles is Buses for You the less expensive company for renting a charter bus? Write an inequality that represents this problem. And because these are your notes, it kind of gives you a guide to go by. First thing we want to do is we want to get our variable. And in this, it would be for what number of miles. And I bet they use the M. That's what I would have done. M represents number of miles. Next, we just think about it in words because it's given it to us in words. We need to look at the two buses. So for this first one, they gave us, what did I just do with the mouse? Okay. 50 plus 40 cents a mile. This is charter a bus. And the 35 would be buses for you. They just wrote in words the math. And then it says, which one is buses for you least expensive? So they chose the symbol greater than because they wanted buses for you to be less. So the less would be towards the little pointy. The less is on this side of the inequality symbol, and this is more over here. And then there's an inequality. This problem is basically worked out for you. So now we have written an inequality. $50 plus 40 cents a mile, $35, 55 cents a mile. And here's a little key. Whenever it's talking about 40 cents a mile, that's usually going to have your variable in it. $50, that's called your constant. Like a joining fee, or just you have to pay $50 no matter how many miles you go, those are your constants. Okay? So here's a you try. All right, you try A. Ocean Adventure charges $35 an hour to rent a sailboat plus $14 for a wetsuit. So you see $35 an hour and then 14. That's probably going to be your constant. Water Fun Incorporated charges $22 an hour plus $40 for a wetsuit. Write an inequality to represent the cost of renting a sailboat and wetsuits cost less at Ocean Adventures. So we need to define our variable. And for this one, you could say, write an inequality to represent the cost of renting a sailboat. So C would be our cost. Write an inequality to represent that the cost of renting a sailboat wetsuit costs less. Okay. That doesn't sound right. So we're talking about how many hours. H would be hours because that's the variable that we don't know. We defined our variable, and now we're just going to compare our two quantities. We have Ocean Adventures and Water Fun Incorporated. Those are our two. Ocean Adventures and Water Fun Incorporated. Ocean Adventures is $35 an hour plus $14 for a wetsuit. So $35 an hour plus $14. Water Fun is $22 an hour plus $40 for a wetsuit. So $22 an hour plus $40. That sounds like a lot for a wetsuit. Represent the cost of renting a sailboat and wetsuit costs less at Ocean Adventure. So which one do we want to know is less? Ocean Adventure, we want to know when that one's less, and so we need to make sure that the point is going that way because that means it's less. So we're actually using the less than symbol. 35H plus 14 is less than 22H plus 40, and that is your answer. Okay, last page. All right, write real-world problems given inequalities. So this part can be even trickier sometimes because you have to be creative and you have to be the one to make up things. You can write a real-world problem if you just know a key points. So there can be more than one possible real world. So that's really important. There can be more than one possible answer. Just depends on what you're talking about. Write a real-world problem given the inequality. So here's an inequality. 650n minus 2 is less than 18n minus 5. Choose an unknown quantity that will represent the variable. Okay, so first we're going to represent the variable. Now this problem is done for you. So in this problem, they just said let n represent number of t-shirts. They just picked it. They just decided n was going to be t-shirts. Now do you see how there's a decimal right here, 1650? What immediately goes into my mind is money. So a lot of times decimals might mean money. 1650, 1995, 999. Anytime you have decimals like that, it's going to be easy to use money in your word problem. So they wrote then the inequality. Just the inequality that they were given. And now they're going to put it to words. Something is less than because that's the symbol. And they talked about n as t-shirts. So the cost, t-shirts cost $16.50, and then since it was minus, They said it was a discount. So for some reason, this company is giving a $2 discount. This company is giving a $5 discount. Well, why do you think they can give a bigger discount? Well, it's because they charge more for their t-shirts, $18 a t-shirt, and then a $5 discount. And someone created this, not me. And then after you kind of get the basics, the skeleton, then you add the details. You pick names, this could be, what do they use? T's for You. So this is T's for You. Charges $16.50 and offers a $2 discount. Tea Time charges $18. How many t-shirts must you buy for the total cost to be less expensive? T's for You to be less expensive. And so you got to make sure you include that word. So let's do one of these together because I know this one was done for you. Write a real world problem. So we have an inequality. Now we don't have decimals, we have fractions. So a key when you're doing fractions could be, you don't want to do money, but you could do almost anything else with fractions. And so N could be, in this example, I wouldn't do like t-shirts, but you could say N is going to be, just say the number of people. Number of people, all right? That's an easy one. You can do number of people. Number of animals. And in this problem, we have 2/3 of the number of people minus 5 and 3/5 the number of people plus 1. So you could say 2/3 of the number of people is greater than 3/5 the number of people plus 1. And let's say we're talking about people, maybe, I don't know, I'm just making this up. So we have people that are attending a game. So here are two teams. So we have our Logos Prep Lions, so 2/3 of the people are attending a football game. 2/3 of the people and 5 leave. So again, I'm making this up, and you see it's not just coming quick. 2/3 of the people are at the football game and 5 leave because it's minus 5. And then we have 3/5 of the people are at the game and 1 extra comes. So again, this number of people we'll say is Logos Prep, and this number of people is another school. We'll call this Fort Bend. Okay, Fort Bend. So then if I wanted to write my question, I would say 2/3 of Logos Prep students. So maybe we want to change this to students. 2/3 of Logos Prep students are at the game and 5 leave. Okay. 3/5 of Fort Bend students or people are at the game and 1 more comes. How many people, or how many students, if you would rather, how many students, how many people could be there if, no, forget what symbol, so greater than. So Logos Prep needs to be bigger than. So if Logos Prep has more attendance. Okay, so I know maybe that wasn't super helpful, but the hardest part is going to be picking your variable, what it stands for, and then building a word problem around that. A lot of times you could do like number of tickets, number of people, number of hours, number of miles. Usually the number of something is helpful. And then again, if it's decimals, you could do cost. So if you feel confused, I totally get it. We are going to practice more of this in class. And remember, the point is writing this inequality. Okay, I forget how to stop it. I don't know if I stopped it. Did I stop it?